Welcome to the Big Cat Lounge podcast. I'm your host, Big Cat KZ. Thank you so much for listening in. The Big Cat Lounge is where we interview guests in a casual lounge setting from all over the world. We are on the way to achieving Big Cat International status. New episodes are dropped weekly on all places you listen to podcasts. Please rate and subscribe to help us grow. Welcome to the Big Cat Lounge podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Big Cat KZ, and today's guest comes from Brazil, where he is a pilot looking for new placement in the market. He has aircraft experience in domestic and international flight planning. He also worked with the 135 flight coordination, as well as general aviation aircraft management, and he's looking to return back to the force. We welcome Matheus Navarro to the Big Cat Lounge podcast.
Hello, Kai. Hello, Kai. It's pretty nice to be here. Thanks for inviting me for this podcast. It will be a nice talk, I'm sure about it.
Oh, yes, likewise. So tell me, how did you start? How did you decide to go into this industry?
All right. In Brazil, we have a common sense that there's a story about a mosquito that bites you, and it's the aviation mosquito. And once it bites you, you get the aviation sickness, and you, yes, we call it like that. And it's like you fall in love for aviation from nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
There was this guy, which is he already passed away, which is he was close to my family, and he was a pilot, and I grew seeing him flying around, and I was like, come on, I need this for my life. I need this. He's a pilot. How can he pick up that massive piece of metal and get it flying in the air? I was delighted from that, and I was like, okay, I need that for me. I absolutely need that. And it was love at first sight. It was definitely love at first sight.
Oh, yeah.
And then I went to college. There in Brazil, we have aeronautical science here. It's a graduation course, and I joined the college. I graduated in 2017. Yeah, 2017, and then began my small career in aviation, because I'm only 25. I'm still crawling to get the grip to aviation, to get my, how can I say that, to get things going for me back again.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, and how has it been during these times? I guess a lot of people have been laid off or put in like a
Yeah.
waiting phase. So what can you do and what have you been able to do during that time?
All right. So, well, let's make things clear. Aviation was vanished from the world since COVID-19 spread,
Yeah.
because we are the ones who transport the virus.
Yeah.
If you think of that, we are the ones who transport the virus. So pilots, cabin crew, such as flight attendants, ground personnel, they were all laid off. They all being sent away from their jobs, and were not able to get anything else, because most of pilots around the world only know how to fly. they their only job was flying aircraft. So some got fired, and some other people got furloughed. I got a couple of friends. I got a friend of mine who was fired from the biggest Brazilian company, which is Latam. He got fired there like on the middle of the last year.
Yeah.
But things are getting back. Things are getting back to its normal. Well, I'm seeing companies, Brazilian and, for example, American companies, all purchasing new aircraft. There are new companies on the market. There are people being hired back. The furlough pilots are getting back to their jobs. So things are getting back.
Yeah.
Things are getting back slowly, but they are getting back. Well, uh, aviation is cyclical. We call them cyclical. Why? Because like the economy, like everything in the world, there's a cycle, and the cycle is you're getting better, we're getting better, we're getting better, we are hiring, we are promoting,
Mhm.
and then they go all the way down again. So yeah, it's cyclical. People are getting get fired, get off their jobs. Well, anyway, the thing that I say is that in these times, in these bad times, these rough times, we need to be prepared for the good. This is where this is where we get prepared. We make courses, we study more, we get prepared, because once things get back where they were supposed to be before, we can we can, how can I say that, we can be prepared for everything that is coming on, for new processes,
Yeah.
for companies hiring and back again. We can make things work from that. I think that is a good point. Once you see this kind of outbreak as a good thing for you,
Mhm. Mhm.
as an opportunity to study more, because once once I left my job, I was fired last year. Also, I was flying in Phenom 300. I was flying, it's an Embraer executive jet. I was used to fly for a couple of company owners here in Brazil. I was flying there and I got fired due to COVID-19 crisis. And then I said, okay, I need to get things going here, and I am getting things going. What experience do I have? Well, I do have FBO experience. What is an FBO? FBO is a fixed base operator. It attend aircraft from all over the world. So yes, I do provide aircraft handling here in the city that I live, which is Goiania, and I attend international aircraft, domestic aircraft. I provide support for them, right?
Mhm.
What do you need here? The crew comes here and they need support in some kind of operation. They need to know where to park the aircraft. They need to know where's the nearest hotel so they can stay. And I provide all of that service for them. I also got experience on aviation, on flight planning, such as, well, right, we need to get to Brazil, from Brazil to Orlando, and it's an executive aircraft. I need, what kind of permissions do I need to have, what kind of places do I need to stop by to refuel the aircraft, because the aircraft has not enough endurance to reach or from Brazil to Orlando. What kind of services will I need along the way? So it's just not as fuel, but another FBOs, because there is an FBO in each base of in each operation. I need are the crew and the passengers with their visa and their passports valid? I need to know everything like that, and most pilots don't do this. They just hire someone else to do this job for them, and I'm the one that does this job.
Mhm. Yeah,
Oh,
and
oh,
that makes it much easier, right? That you're the one who's resourceful and has everything at your disposal.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as I told you, pilots nowadays only know flying. They've only been studying flying, and I think those other skills are awesome for a professional in aviation.
Mhm.
Once he knows how to handle other aircraft, he knows how to make plannings like this, you know, how to manage executive and Part 135. Part 135 is air charter. It's what we call air charter. And those, no, you need to know how to handle those ones. Right now, I'm working as a flight coordinator for an air charter. And what do I have to do there? I have to prepare everything for the flight to happen. This kind of operations is simple. I work for a company that provides air ambulance service. So air ambulance right now, COVID-19. We got a lot of COVID-19 flights all around the country. So I have to pick up a passenger with COVID, a patient with COVID in São Paulo, and bring him to Brasilia, which such as the Brazil's district city. And we are the ones who provide this service. So there are no hospitals in city A. You have to transport him to city B. We do the service, and I have to perform all of the planning of the flight. I am the one who provides fuel. I am the one who designates the crew members. I'm the one who provides, for example, oh, they have to overnight somewhere. So yeah, I'm providing them the hotel. Oh, the runway there in our destination does not have the lighting support because we're landing there at night. I mean, it lights for the runway. We need to provide them that. How can we? There's an alternate airfield nearby. Yes, there is. So you're landing there. I right now I'm doing all this kind of stuff, and I'm also handling the company's international handles, such as international flights around the South America here, and we've been a couple of times to US for these services as well. Not COVID-19, but another air ambulance. We call this medical evacuation, so another medevac service that we should provide there for Brazilians that are abroad, and we bring them back to Brazil in this kind of situation. So yeah, Kyle, I've been quite busy along this crisis.
Yeah, you really have. And the thing is, there's like a big misconception. I think a lot of people like thought, oh, being a pilot's not too difficult, but you always have to, you're staying away from home for a long period of time. You have lack of vacations with family, and you always have to adapt to the new, climates and short changes. And then also like your biological clock, and making sure you're able to sleep and eat. There's a lot of challenges that go on that people just, I guess, aren't aware about.
Man, jet lag just destroys me.
Yeah.
Passengers are like, oh man, I'm destroyed by jet lag. Man, I have to be awake. I'm not aware. For example, if it's international flight, over the seas flight, we have multiple crew members there, so we switch. So we switch places every time, and I'm the one who goes to sleep, and there's another one there is handling the flight from there. But we are just as tired as you passengers are. I can assure you that. You can't believe it. Like, I'm from Brazil. Brazil is a tropical country. It's hot in here. It's definitely hot. I don't know if you can convert that. We right now it's 30 degrees Celsius here. I don't know how much Fahrenheit it is,
Yeah,
but
90, 95. Yeah, it's hot.
it's hot. It's quite hot. And right here where I live, it's the average temperature here. It's 30 degrees Celsius. It's 99, 95. It's 95 Fahrenheit. It's the average. I'm used to it. And then I go to, for example, let's make a scenario here. It's and let's make a Chile. Chile here in South America, it's quite a cold country. It's known for skiing. It's a country known for skiing, for its cold weathers, for the Andes mountains. So there is cold. We got minus 5, minus 10 degrees Celsius there. Well, once I've been there once, and I was like, I don't have clothing for this. I can't handle this. And I was young. I was younger than I am. It was my first international flight. I was like, come on, you got heaters inside the hotel room? Why is that? Where's the air conditioning? No, you need the heater. Why? Because it's cold here. Let me see. Oh yeah, it's cold. I need the heater. Come on. we have to adapt that. And I've known some pilots which are friends of mine that are being that went to missions like they've been 2 months away from home.
Wow.
2 months, and most of the executive pilots does that because they have to that there are certain people here. There are certain CEOs of companies here that goes to the US. All right, we're Brazilian, we're going to the US and going to spend 1 month there. Man, we're spending 1 month with paid hotel room, with paid food, all the other expenses, but we are away from home, and that bothers us.
Yeah.
That bothers a lot, though. You can even imagine. I know flying. The act of flying is the easiest one. But once we have to handle with the other stuff, is when it comes to the grips with the hardest things here.
Hmm.
It's when things get tough, gets tough. Yeah.
And you're never really alone when you're flying in the air. There's always someone monitoring you on a radar, or so it's
Yeah.
not, it's not just like you're by yourself. There's always,
I might just tell you that
yeah.
there are some moments that you are all by yourself.
It feels, yeah, I'm sure it feels
For
like that.
for transoceanic flights, there are regions that you don't have communications with with nobody else.
Hmm.
With nobody else, you're totally radio silent, and you're just your buddy on your side, and tons and tons of water beneath you. You or it's either water or either ice or rainforests. We call those isolated regions. Sometimes they cannot put radars on there because the most common way of aircraft surveillance right now is ground radars. Those are ground radars. You've probably seen that on movies when you see the tower,
Oh
the
yeah.
airfield tower, and there's something spinning on the top, so like an antenna spinning on the top, rotating on the top of the tower.
Hmm.
That is a radar, and that's the ones that provides aircraft surveillance around the world. We are right now implementing satellite surveillance, which allows us to communicate and to be watched by someone else on those isolated regions. But it's a new feature in the world, and we are still crawling on that.
Yeah, yeah. In due time, it'll be.
Into time, yeah, that's perfect. That's a good one.
Today's sponsor is Anchor FM app. Go download the free Anchor app today to get started. You can find it at your Play Store or App Store. It's everything you need to make a podcast, and it distributes everything for you so it can be heard on multiple platforms such as Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, and many more. This is what I'm currently using right now to edit and record my podcast, and you can do so from your phone or computer. And the tools are really easy to use to help document the Big Cat Lounge journey. So what are you waiting for? Go today and download it.
Handle like all this, turbulent weather or just scenarios that come out of nowhere? Like, what type of tools have you used to prepare yourself in advance?
Well, I say that when it comes to turbulence, to severe weather, what we call severe weather situation, there are hundreds of types of severe weather that we can face. Most of them we use an flight radar and weather radar, which have you seen the aircraft's nose? Uh, there are some aircraft that the nose is painted black
Mm.
because most old aircraft their nose are painted black because the radar it's on the nose is on the aircraft's nose, and that black paint was a special paint that the waves of the air of the radar could come through easily the aircraft's nose. Right now nowadays they could make a paint on the same aircraft's color, so there's none of that. But what I can tell you that the weather radar is the one responsible. He sends a signal to the cloud, and the cloud reflects the signal back to the radar. So the radar says, all right, there's a cloud in there. And the thicker the cloud is, the worse it is for us, and the worse it appears on our radar. So we deviate from that. Sometimes we are deviating, but we are deviating close to the cloud. So with the aircraft feels it, and there is the turbulence. And there is another kind of turbulence, which we call CAT, clear air turbulence. It's the one that is not associated to any cloud, to any bad weather. So how do we predict that? We don't. We just get surprised from nowhere. That's why all the flight attendants tell you to fasten your seatbelts while you were seated, even when in cruise flight. That is the main reason, because we can get a clear air turbulence from nowhere, and where the aircraft will shake and everyone things would fall apart, luggage will come all the way. You've seen news like that, like, oh, the aircraft so and so just dropped 300 feet from the air suddenly, and passengers got hurt, and all this kind of stuff. And they're like, of course, they were not with their seatbelt fastened, and the aircraft drops suddenly 300 feet, which is not like 60 meters, 300 feet, and you hit your head on the aircraft ceiling. You can get hurt through that. So yeah, keep your seatbelt fastened. But there is one thing that worries us about bad weather, which is bad weather when taking off or landing. Us pilots are only worried about this one. The other ones, we're like, okay, we don't really mind, because the aircraft's gonna shake a little bit, passengers are gonna get scared, but we don't quite care about this. Not that we don't care about the passengers, but we don't care about the situation, because it's a harmless situation for the aircraft, for the flight itself. But when you're close to the ground, you have something called wind shear, which is a sudden change of wind direction. This sudden change of wind direction causes a sudden loss of lift. Lift is the main force that keeps the aircraft in the air. If you lose lift close to the ground, the air is dangerous. So how do we do that? We avoid it. If we are on the ground about to take off and we notice that there's a wind shear ahead, we don't take off. Oh, we are landing. We are about to land and there's a wind shear ahead. All right, we go around and deviate from the wind shear.
Oh, wow.
These are the most dangerous for the aircraft itself, for the flight itself. So we have to avoid them at all costs.
Okay, shifting gears a little bit. When you decided to become a pilot, I guess like during the process, there's multiple tests and just rigor that's required. For the tests and the program, do you have to make sure you're getting like close to perfect marks, because it's such a difficult program and you're dealing with people's lives? Like, tell us a little bit about like that experience, I guess, leading up to becoming a pilot.
Right. Here in Brazil, we are more of the technical way of things. So to become a pilot is about the same thing as having your driver's license. Of course, it's more complex, but it's about the same thing. So when you're thinking of dealing of other people's lives, you're thinking of, well, I am the one responsible for more than 150 lives back here. And if I do something wrong, we all may get hurt. Let's make it this way. We all might get hurt a little bit. So there is a lot of technical training. There is a lot of technical training. We have practical tests, we have writing tests. We all have to be current in our awareness and in our ratings and in our licenses. So medical exams every year, recurrence tests every year. Some companies around the world make those current tests like 6 months, each 6 months, so you can stay current on the type of aircraft you fly. You can stay on the grips of it, and you don't lose your awareness of what is happening around you. Because if you crash a car, you might get hurt. Depending on the crash, right? You might get hurt, you might hurt somebody else, but most of the times, most of the crashes, it's not a big deal. When you see an aircraft flying, you get news all around the world, you got news all around the TV, and it's like, all right, it killed 150 people, it killed, I was like, all right, so yes, we have to train more than usual other technical stuff do, right? We're always constantly keeping things refreshed in our heads.
Mm-hmm.
We're always keeping that in that way. But I think that's quite a few training that we have there, because I think we should have more training on those technical stuff. I do agree. For example, executive flights, private flights. On private aircraft, we have to perform those kind of tests every year. Every year. On companies, we have to perform them on every 6 months, and I think that every 6 months is the ideal. Not once a year, but twice a year. It would be the ideal for pilots to keep themselves current.
Yeah, that only makes sense. You're right. I mean, it should just be consistent across the board, because if you're flying regardless, it doesn't matter if it's private, public, you're still flying. So it should be.
Yeah, because it's still flying. You're still flying. The aircraft is about the same. The aircraft is about the same. When it comes to, because people tend to think that commercial aircraft like Boeings and Airbuses, they are more complex aircraft than the other ones, and they're not. They're about the same. The philosophy is it was engineered to be the same.
Mm-hmm.
For a pilot who is changing equipment, who is changing aircraft, he does not face any difficulty on changing equipment. He doesn't feel that difficulty. So yeah, aircraft are all about the same across the board. But there's something. When it comes to normal flying, for example, we're going to Orlando to New York. It's a normal flying, just a daily flying, and pilots do this every day. They get used to it. They get tired of it. They are like, all right, I'm all the way. Have to take off from this runway. You have to land on this runway. You have to fly. Our flight level will be 39,000 feet. We have to. We get used to it. We get used. But when things come apart, but when there is an unexpected situation, an emergency, there is where you nail stuff here. This is where you have to be aware, be trained. People tend to think that we are always training, we are always making common flights. No, we don't do that. What we do is that we go to the simulator and train emergencies. All right, you're going to take off from Dallas Fort Worth, and you will have an engine failure right after takeoff. You have to perform the emergency tasks. You have to perform all the stuff, the checklist that have. You are training all the way. So that makes you prepared For if you are making your normal routine, it happens something suddenly, because accidents don't warn you. They don't failures don't warn you. They come from nowhere. It's
Yeah,
an
they're all
unexpected situation.
hmm
For example, Captain Sully, 2009. He was departing. He was departing from LaGuardia. He faced a flock of birds. Oh, he was like, okay, I'm gonna take off right now, and I know that I'm going to face a flock of birds. He doesn't know. He didn't know that. He just hit the flock of birds and was able to land on the Hudson River.
Yeah.
And it was something that was not on the manuals. It was not on the scheduled training. We cannot, until now, we cannot reproduce landing on water on simulators, on flight simulators, on flight training. We cannot do that. And he did that, and he saved every single soul on board. Was he a hero? Yes. They were all heroes right there. All the flight crew, the cabin crew, they were all heroes there because they performed everything according to the manuals. Although there is no training, there are specific procedures that he was able to take to get the aircraft safely to the Hudson River and to evacuate everyone there. So yeah, they were all heroes because they performed what they trained for. I might tell you that, Kyle, that we pilots need to train. We do train a lot. We do perform a lot of stuff, but we never know when the next day might be the only day that we have to prove that what we learned after all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, Captain Sully has tens of thousands of flight hours on aircraft. All of his skills were proven in 2 minutes. 2 minutes is what it was all it took. Either throw everything away or save everyone's lives in 2 minutes.
And would you rather be a private pilot or a public pilot? I guess. What
Yeah.
have you noticed during your experience? Do you think one's like more lucrative just based upon your time? Yeah, share
Oh,
share with us some
all right.
thoughts.
Well, here I have to get a Brazilian perspective because
Yeah.
in US and in other parts of the world, things are slightly different. Not very, but slightly. Well, when I was young, everything I wanted for my life was being in a commercial aircraft. Was flying those big Boeing jets, those huge 747s. I was like, oh, I need this for my life because of the machine itself, because the machine is awesome. It's quite the equipment we have there. But when I began flying, I realized that, man, I can get other things rather than only commercial aircraft. And I'm actually enjoying executive aircraft because there are also good equipment there. We have private jets that can perform as good as a 747, that can fly as high as, that can fly as fast as, that has the same equipment, that has the same capabilities. And I actually enjoyed flying private. I actually enjoyed that. I flew for some figures here in Brazil, some famous singers, some famous artists, and I quite enjoyed that. I quite enjoyed that because it changes the routine. It's a completely different routine from commercial aircraft. In commercial flight, you have a proper schedule. You have, when your when your departure, where you're departing to, you know how much time will you be away from home. And in executive flight and private flight, you don't know that. For example, my boss can call me. It's an hypothesis only, but uh, my boss can call me like, "All right, we are departing in an hour from now, and we are going somewhere else where I don't know, right? Where I wasn't programmed for that, where I wasn't
Yeah.
aware. For example, let's go to São Paulo right now, 1 hour. Come on." And I actually enjoyed that. I actually enjoyed that because, well, most of executive flights, of executive jobs, you fly less than in a commercial flight. So you can stay more at home.
Hmm.
You can enjoy your family pretty much.
Do you find
And
that you need to like network more to make sure you have,
yeah,
more opportunities there with executive flights because it's not just like available like that.
yes. Let's make things clear. We usually say that it's at least a common sense in Brazil. If you teach a monkey how to fly, he will do that pretty much well. So the technical stuff, you can get to it. But what can get you a job, at least here? It doesn't matter how good you fly, it doesn't matter how much experience you have. If you don't have the proper connection, if you don't have exactly the exact network, you won't perform in aviation here in Brazil. You won't perform in aviation. You won't be able to get a good job, to get a good wage, to fly a good aircraft if you don't have the proper network. Network is it's about the primary thing that solves problems here in aviation, in Brazilian aviation. And I might tell you that all around the world, it's probably the same thing.
Yeah. And do you find there's like a lot of like conferences or like meetup opportunities to share with one another or different other forums?
In Brazil, we don't have quite that.
Okay.
We
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I don't know.
no problem. We don't have that in Brazil. I don't think we have that in other countries as well because mainly let's take private aircraft, private aviation in focus here. Private aviation here, uh, we get our network by meeting people, by
Yeah.
meeting, and we don't have like conference rooms. We don't have meetings around Brazil that provides that. We have to get out there and face it. We need to meet people. And how did I find to make that work? I amplified my experience. I began studying aircraft handling, I began studying aircraft management, and I began studying all of those non-technical abilities that surround aviation. So, if a captain does need my help, I go there and help him. I was like, "Oh, I need to file this flight plan to another country. I need to make this flight planning to Bolivia, to Argentina. All right, I can get you that done. I can get that done for you without any further dues." So I do help him with those things.
Mhm.
I do help them like updating their aircraft because aircraft has a GPS system that needs to be updated every 28 days. So I've learned how to do that, and I was like, "Okay, Captain, I can help you that for free. You won't need any trouble with that anymore in life." And he gets to know me,
Yeah.
and once he gets to know me, I get my network done, and I go helping one pilot there, another one there, another one over there, and we get this network done for me. So if you learn those non-flying skills, I call those non-flying skills, this is how you get network done in aviation.
Being able to share, and then because you had that good experience, that captain will always remember your name and then would call upon you again in the future.
Exactly. That is the right point of it. He will remember me. Those who are not seen are not remembered. That's a common sense here in Brazil. That's a sentence here in Brazil that everyone says. Those who are not seen are not remembered. If you're not being seen by someone that is in the stage, that's on the stage, you will not be remembered by him. So yeah, once I got fired last year, I got quite a few freelance flights to get some money done, and all of those flights were due to that. Were due because I met people around, because I helped people get their stuff done, and it was because of that. I got my job because of that. I don't simply do flight coordination on where I work right now. I do manual revision because the company has manuals that needs to be updated in time to time. So I do that for them. I do their international flight planning. I help them with all other stuff that I'm capable of, which is not described in my portfolio for my work there as a flight coordinator. I do everything I can to get everyone a little bit of help so they can remember me in some way.
And if you could go back in time to when you were 18 years old, what type of
Right.
advice would you give yourself now that you have all this knowledge?
Yeah, oh boy. Oh, buy stocks, buy Bitcoin,
That is true. Invest in
buy
yourself.
stocks and buy Bitcoin, because one thing I wasn't sure about when I was 18 years old, it was about financial knowledge.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was like, buy buy this kind of things. Get yourself financially good, because you are facing an expensive career. You have to invest a lot of money to get your licenses and your ratings, and wake up for reality, because although it's a wonderful land of aviation, although you're entering the wonderful land of aviation, there are some nasty stuff going down there that you have to avoid, as they are in every other job, right?
Mhm.
There are the good things and the bad things, and you like be aware of it, and be aware of people,
Yeah.
because they are the ones that can get you a job.
Yeah, they really
You
can.
can.
It's making that impact. And if we wanted to follow your journey and stay tuned with the latest, where could we look?
All right. I actually left my Instagram. I deleted that because it was taking a lot of time from me. So you can also find me a LinkedIn. My LinkedIn is Matheus Lemes Navarro. Yes, you can find me there. I am pretty much every day on LinkedIn. I'm just on LinkedIn right now.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for this conversation. We appreciate your time and having you on the Big Cat Lounge. We learned so much.
All right, Kyle, it was a pleasure of mine having this conversation with you. And anytime soon, if you're willing to bring me back here, we
Oh,
can
of
talk
course.
more if you're willing to.
Yep. Thank you again.
Thank you. Have a nice day, sir.
Bye-bye.
We are accepting applications if you think you have what it takes to be a big cat and be a guest on the show. Email us at bigcatlounge@gmail.com. Thank you for listening to the Big Cat Lounge podcast. Hope to see you soon.